Dear students, in this session we will discuss about some more problems. Here, let me go through the problem. The Ganesh as a property whose municipal valuation is rupees 2,50,000. Municipal valuation is 2,50,000. Fair rent is rupees 2 lakh. Here, Ganesh as a property, Ganesh has one property. Its municipal value is 2,50,000. Fair rent is 2 lakh. Whichever is more, municipal value is more. This municipal value has to be compared with the standard rent. The next, standard rent is 2,10,000. Standard rent is 2,10,000. Municipal value is 2,50,000. Whichever is less, standard rent is less. So standard rent has to be taken as expected rent. Then, property was letted for a rent of rupees 20,000 per month. This property was letted for a rent of 20,000 per month. Per month rent. This is actual rent. However, the tenant vacated the property on 31st January 2020. This property is let out, but the tenant vacated the property. Means at present the house is vacant from 31st January. 31st January means February 2020 and March 2020 house was vacant. Why? Because the financial year begin with 1st April and end with 31st March. So for that, February and March, these 2 months are vacant. Unrealized rent was rupees 20,000, and then also he vacated the property without paying the rent of 1 month. 1 month rent ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ಹಂಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಾನೆ, ವೇಕೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು. ಎಷ್ಟು? 20,000. All conditions were prescribed by Rule 4 were satisfied. Here, in case of unrealized rent, it should be satisfy Rule 4. Means all prescribed precautions has to be taken by the owner to collect the rent. Even after the tenant has not paid rent, means then only it's treated as unrealized rent. Otherwise, it not treated as unrealized rent. So, the Rule 4 satisfied. He paid municipal taxes at 8% of municipal valuation. 8% of municipal valuation. Municipal valuation is 2,50,000. 8% means how much? 20,000. This municipal tax is allowable for deduction out of gross annual value. Gross annual value ನಲ್ಲಿ municipal tax ಅನ್ನು ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ಬರುವಂಥದ್ದು net annual value. Next, interest on borrowed capital was 65,000 for the year. He borrowed the capital for the construction or for the acquisition of the house. That borrowed loan interest amount is 65,000 for the year. Compute the income from house property. ಅವನ income from house property ನ compute ಮಾಡಬೇಕು for the assessment year 2021. Here, computation of income from house property of Ganesh for the assessment year 2021. Particulars amount. Here, very first, expected rent. Expected rent first we have to take. In the expected rent equals a year of municipal value or fair rent. Okay. Here, municipal value is 2,50,000. Fair rent is 2 lakh. Okay, but it restricted to standard rent. The municipal rent or fair rent, whichever is more, but the more should not be more than the standard rent. Okay, whichever is more, municipal value is more, that is 2,50,000. Okay, but the standard rent is less than the municipal value and fair rent, so standard rent itself is the expected rent. Then next, actual rent. Actual rent received rent for a month is 20,000 and the house is vacant for 2 months. So for that we have to calculate the actual rent for 10 months only. Okay. So for that 20,000 into 10 equals 2 lakh. Here still 1 month rent was unrealized. So that unrealized rent has to be deducted again out of 2 lakh. 2 lakh minus out of this 2 lakh, okay, 20,000 has to be deducted. The actual rent is 1,80,000 only. Now whichever is more has to be considered actually as per rules. Okay, 2,10,000 is the more expected rent, but in case of vacancy period, if the house is vacant for that period, and that situation, expected rent or actual rent received are receivable. Okay, whichever is less is to be taken. Okay, here in this case, actual rent is 1,80,000 is lower than the expected rent. Expected rent ಗಿಂತಲೂ ಇದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ. Owing to vacancy, since had the property not been vacant, actual rent would be the 2,20,000. In case house is not vacant, on that time the actual rent will be the 2,20,000. Why? Because 20,000 into 12 means 2,20,000. Even if there is no vacancy and unrealized rent, the actual rent would be the 2,20,000. But 1,80,000 plus 40,000 being the national rent for the February and March. Therefore, actual rent is the gross annual value. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಹೌಸು ವೇಕೆನ್ಸಿ ಇದ್ದಂಥ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ರೆಂಟ್ಗಿಂತಲೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ರೆಂಟ್ಗಿಂತಲೂ ಆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ, ಇದನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡಿವಿ. So 1,80,000 is the gross annual value. Then next, out of the gross annual value, municipal tax paid by the owner has to be deducted. Here municipal tax paid by the owner during the previous year is 8%. 8% of municipal value, that is 2,50,000 into 8% means 20,000. This is the municipal tax paid by the owner. This 20,000 has to be deducted out of the gross annual value. Gross annual value is 1,80,000. Municipal tax paid by the owner is 20,000. Then net annual value is 1,60,000. Then come to the deductions part. Here 30% of annual value, net annual value. Net annual value is 1,60,000. 30% means 48,000. Interest on borrowed capital. They had given interest on borrowed capital for the year is 65,000. This net 30% standard deduction and interest on borrowed capital total is 1,13,000. The out of 1,60,000, if we deduct 1,30,000, the rest of the amount is treated as income from house property, that is 47,000. Is it clear? I hope that you understand the calculation procedure. Okay. Now we will go through the next problem. Anirudh has a property whose municipal valuation is rupees 1,30,000. 1,30,000. Municipal value is 1,30,000. Per annum. Here the fair rent, municipal value is 1,30,000 per annum. The fair rent is 1,10,000 per annum. Municipal value is 1,30,000. Fair rent is 1,10,000. Whichever is more, municipal value is more, but it should not be more than the standard rent. Okay, municipal value is more, firstly we have to compare with the municipal value and fair rent. Fair rent and municipal value. Here fair rent is 1,10,000, municipal value is 1,30,000. Whichever is more is municipal value amount rupees 1,30,000. But standard rent fixed by Rent Control Act is 1,20,000. Standard rent fixed by the Rent Control Act is 1,20,000. First, we compare with the municipal value and fair rent. Okay, higher amount has to be finalized and then compare with the standard rent. Higher amount is 1,30,000. We compare with the standard rent. Lesser amount has to be taken as expected rent. A lesser amount or least amount is 1,20,000. This is the expected rent. Next, the property was let out for a rent of rupees 11,000 per month throughout the previous year. That property was let out for a rent of rupees 11,000 per month. ಒಂದು ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ 11,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿದಂಗೆ ಬಾಡಿಗೆಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ. Here unrealized rent was rupees 11,000 and all conditions by rule 4 were satisfied. ಇಲ್ಲಿ unrealized rent 11,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಇದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಫುಲ್ಫಿಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ unrealized rent as per rule 4 ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, he paid municipal tax at 10% of municipal value. ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂನ 10% ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ 1,30,000 ಇದೆ, 10% ಅಂದರೆ 13,000 ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಓನರ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಎಕ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ, ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಾರೋಡ್ ಆನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ವಾಸ್ rupees 40,000. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಾರೋಡ್ ಆನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್, ಅವನು ಹೌಸನ್ನು ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ರೀಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ರಿನೋವೇಷನ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಲೋನನ್ನು ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಲೋನ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಕಿರುವಂಥ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟು ಅಲೋಬಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್. ದಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ 40,000 ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಇಯರ್. ದಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಕಾಂಪ್ಯೂಟ್ ದಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಅನಿರುದ್ಧ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ 2021. ಈ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ 2020-21ಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಕಾಂಪ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿದೆ. ನೋಡೋಣ ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್. ಕಾಂಪ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಅನಿರುದ್ಧ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ 2021. Here, first what we have to calculate? First we have to calculate gross annual value. On which basis we have to calculate gross annual value? On the basis of expected rent and actual rent. Whichever is more, that more amount is treated as gross annual value. Okay. Expected rent. How we have to calculate expected rent? On the basis of municipal value, fair rental value and standard rent. Okay. First we have to compare with the municipal value and fair rent. Whichever is more amount has to be taken, and that more amount has to be compared with the standard rent. Standard rent or more amount of municipal value or standard fair rent has to be compared. Then whichever is less, that has to be taken into final as expected rent. Here expected rent equals higher of municipal value of rupees 1,30,000 or and fair rent of rupees 1,10,000 but restricted to standard rent of rupees 1,20,000. ಅವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಫಸ್ಟು ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಮತ್ತು ಫೇರ್ ರೆಂಟನ್ನು ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಎರಡರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ? ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂನು ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ರೆಂಟನ್ನು ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಎರಡರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅದನ್ನು ತೊಗೋಬೇಕು. ಫಸ್ಟು ಯಾವುದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅದು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಯಾವ್ದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅದು. ಯಾವ್ದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ರೆಂಟನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ರೆಂಟಾಗಿ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ವಿ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್. expected rent part is over. Then next come to actual rent. Actual rent received or receivable. Here actual rent received or receivable less unrealized rent as per rule 4. Actual rent received is 1,32,000. This is the rent amount received by the employer or receivable by the employer. Per month rent is rupees 11,000, per annum 1,32,000. So but 1 month rent was unrealized, ಅಂದರೆ 1 month ಇಂದ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಕೊಡದೇ ಇರೋಂಥ ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಲೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ actual rent is 1,21,000. Third step, compare with the expected rent 1,20,000 and actual rent received or receivable 1,21,000. actual rent received or receivable ಇವೆರಡರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಅಂತ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Here gross annual value is higher of expected rent and actual rent received or receivable. In case of vacancy only, we have to consider which one, least of the amount, actual rent. Except that expected rent or actual rent, whichever is more, ಯಾವುದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದನ್ನೇ ನಾವು ಏನಾಗಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್ expected rent is 1,20,000, actual rent is 1,21,000, whichever is more is 1,21,000 is more. This is as gross annual value. This is the gross annual value. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ? ಫಸ್ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ರೆಂಟನ್ನು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ವಿತ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ವಿತ್ ದಿ ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ರೆಂಟ್, compare with municipal value and fair rent, whichever is more. Okay, and then more amount has to be compared with the standard rent, then less amount has to be taken. Municipal value 1,30,000 ಇದೆ, fair rent 1,10,000 ಇದೆ. ಯಾವ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ? ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರೋಂಥ ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಜೊತೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಜೊತೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರೋದನ್ನು ತೊಗೋಬೇಕು. ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ 1,30,000, ಇದನ್ನು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರೋಂಥ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು? ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರೋದು ಯಾವುದು? ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ರೆಂಟು. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ರೆಂಟೇ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಯಿತು, ಆಯಿತಾ? ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ರೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ? 1 ಮಂತ್ ಅನ್ರಿಯಲೈಸ್ಡ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಅನ್ರಿಯಲೈಸ್ಡ್ ರೆಂಟನ್ನು ಲೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು? 1,21,000. whichever is more, either expected rent or actual rent. Whichever is more, actual rent is more. So actual rent amount 1,21,000. This is the gross annual value. Out of this gross annual value, we have to deduct the municipal tax paid by the owner. Municipal tax paid by the owner is 10% of municipal value. So 10% of municipal value on 1,30,000 means it's 13,000. Its amount is rupees 13,000. Okay. If we deduct 13,000 out of 1,21,000, 1,21,000 ಅಲ್ಲಿ 13,000 ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಂತು? 1,08,000 ಬಂತು. This is the annual value. Out of this annual value, what we have to do? We have to deduct the deductions under section 84. 84 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುವಂಥ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ಸನ್ನು ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ 30% ಆಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆನ್ 30% ಆಫ್ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಆಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್. 30% ಆಫ್ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ 1,80,000 ಇದೆ. ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ 30% ಅಂದರೆ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ? 32,400. This is the 30% of annual value as standard deduction. The second amount is interest on borrowed capital. Borrowed capital ಮೇಲೆ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಬಾರೋಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅಂದರೆ ಅಸಸ್ಸಿ ತನ್ನ ಮನೇನ ಅಕ್ವೈರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ, ರೀಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ರಿನೋವೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲೋನನ್ನು ಬಾರೋ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂದ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಲೋಬಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್. ದಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ 40,000. Then standard deduction is 32,400. The total deduction is 72,400. This 72,400 is allowable deduction out of the net annual value. Net annual value is 1,08,000. So 1,08,000 less 72,400 means 35,200. This 35,200 is the income from house property. This is the income from house property. Okay. Okay. Thank you.